Dogs don't speak our language. They don't leave sticky notes on the fridge or send passive aggressive texts. But make no mistake, they have expectations. Quiet ones, deep ones. And if you listen closely, they're always communicating. This video isn't about obedience commands or training hacks. It's about the silent agreements we make when we bring a dog into our lives. The rules they hope we'll follow. The ones that shape their trust, their joy, and their sense of safety. Most of us never learn them. But once you do, everything changes. Let's start with the first rule. Consistency is love. Dogs don't understand calendars. They don't know it's Monday or that you had a rough meeting at 3 p.m. What they do understand is rhythm, predictability, the sound of your footsteps at the usual time, the way you always grab the leash before dinner. To a dog, routine isn't boring, it's security. It's proof that their world is stable. When that rhythm breaks too often, when walks get skipped, meals come late, or moods swing without warning, dogs don't just get confused. They get anxious. And here's the twist. They often blame themselves. In dog psychology, unpredictability can feel like rejection. Like they did something wrong but don't know what. So when a dog expects consistency, they're not being needy. They're asking for emotional safety. And that's not a luxury. It's a basic need. Rule 2, your tone matters more than your words. We love talking to dogs. We narrate our lives to them. We ask them questions they can't answer. And we sometimes vent to them like furry therapists. But dogs don't understand language the way we do. They understand tone, emotion, energy. A cheerful, "you little rascal," feels like praise. A tense, "good boy" with clenched teeth feels like punishment. Dogs read between the lines. They listen with their whole body, and they mirror what they hear. That's why yelling, even if it's not directed at them, can make a dog shrink. It's why sarcasm confuses them, and it's why a calm, warm voice can soothe even the most anxious pup. Dogs expect us to speak in a way that matches our intention, not because they're sensitive, but because they're wired to survive. In the wild, tone signals danger. In a home, it signals love or fear. Rule 3, sniffing is not optional, it's essential. To humans, a walk is exercise. To dogs, it's a sensory adventure. Every lamppost is a newspaper. Every patch of grass is a mystery novel. Sniffing isn't a distraction. It's how they make sense of the world. When we rush them through walks, tug them away from smells, or treat sniffing like a bad habit, we're not just being impatient. We're denying them their primary way of gathering information. Imagine being told you can't look around while walking through a new city. That's what it feels like to a dog. Dogs expect us to honor their need to sniff, not just tolerate it, but embrace it. Because sniffing lowers their heart rate, reduces stress, and gives them a sense of control. It's not a luxury, it's therapy. Rule 4, eye contact is powerful, but only when earned. In human relationships, eye contact builds intimacy. In dog psychology, it's more complicated. For some dogs, direct eye contact feels threatening. For others, it's a sign of trust. The difference lies in history, temperament, and context. Rescue dogs, for example, may flinch at prolonged eye contact. Not because they don't love you, but because they've learned to associate staring with danger. Puppies raised in safe homes may seek eye contact as reassurance. Dogs expect us to read their comfort level, to earn their gaze, not demand it. And when they do lock eyes with us softly, slowly, it's a moment of deep connection. A silent, "I trust you." Rule 5, touch should always be a choice. We love petting dogs. It's comforting, bonding, and frankly, addictive. But here's the thing. Dogs don't always want to be touched, and they rarely say it out loud. Instead, they shift away. They lick their lips. They yawn or turn their head. These are subtle signs of discomfort, often missed or ignored. Because we assume affection is always welcome, but dogs expect us to ask for consent, not with words, but with observation. They want us to notice when they lean in versus when they lean away, when they melt into our hands versus when they stiffen. Touch, when invited, is healing. Touch, when forced, is stress. And dogs know the difference.
Rule 6. Play is not a reward. It's a necessity. We often treat play as a bonus, something dogs get when they've behaved well or when we have extra time. But in dog psychology, play is vital. It's how they release energy, process emotions, and build social bonds. Play isn't just about toys or fetch, it's about engagement, shared joy, mutual silliness. And it's especially important for dogs who spend long hours alone. Dogs expect us to play with them, not just supervise, but participate, to be goofy, unpredictable, and present. Because play isn't a distraction from training, it's part of it. It teaches impulse control, trust, and emotional regulation. Rule 7: silence doesn't mean peace. Dogs are masters of masking discomfort. They don't always whine when they're in pain. They don't always bark when they're anxious. Sometimes they go quiet, withdrawn, still, and we mistake that silence for contentment. But in dog behavior, withdrawal can be a red flag. It can signal depression, fear, or chronic stress, especially in dogs who've learned that expressing emotion leads to punishment or neglect. Dogs expect us to notice the quiet, to ask what's behind it, to treat stillness not as a sign of obedience, but as a possible cry for help. Rule 8: your absence has weight. We live busy lives, work, errands, social plans, and dogs wait. They wait by the door, on the couch, in their crate, sometimes for hours. To us, it's just part of the routine. To them, it's a stretch of loneliness they don't understand. Dogs don't measure time like we do. They feel it in their body, in the fading scent of your presence, in the silence of the house. And while some dogs cope well, others struggle deeply. Dogs expect us to acknowledge their waiting, to make reunions meaningful, to offer presence, not just proximity, because to them, our return isn't just a moment, it's a restoration of their world. Rule 9: they remember what we forget. Dogs have incredible associative memory. They remember the sound of your car, the way you smell after a workout, the route you take to the park, but they also remember emotional patterns. They remember who made them feel safe, who yelled, who ignored their pain, and they store those memories, not as grudges, but as survival tools. Dogs expect us to be mindful of what we're teaching, even when we're not trying to teach, because every interaction leaves a mark. Every moment builds or breaks trust. Rule 10: they're always watching, even when we think they're asleep, even when we're not talking to them. Dogs observe. They study our routines, our moods, our reactions. They notice when we're stressed, distracted, or joyful, and they adjust accordingly. Dogs expect us to realize that we're their compass, their guide to understanding the world. And when we're erratic, they feel lost. When we're grounded, they feel safe. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. Rule 11: your emotional state echoes through them. Dogs are emotional barometers. They don't just notice when you're sad. They feel it. They don't just observe your stress. They absorb it. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's biological. Dogs are wired to sync with their humans. Their cortisol levels rise when ours do. Their heart rate changes when we're anxious, and their behavior shifts in response to our moods. When a dog expects emotional stability, it's not because they're fragile, it's because they're deeply attuned. They notice when your voice tightens, when your movements become rushed, when your scent changes due to stress hormones, and they respond, sometimes by becoming clingy, sometimes by withdrawing, sometimes by acting out. Dogs don't expect us to be perfect, but they do expect us to be aware, to recognize that our emotional storms ripple through their world. And when we take steps to regulate ourselves through breath, through routine, through presence, we're not just helping ourselves, we're protecting them. Rule 12: leadership is not dominance, it's calm guidance. There's a lingering myth in dog training that leadership means control, that being alpha requires firmness, correction, and asserting dominance. But modern dog psychology tells a different story. True leadership in a dog's eyes is calm, predictable, and fair. It's not about who walks through the door first, it's about who creates safety. Dogs thrive under guidance that's emotionally regulated, not forceful. They follow humans who make decisions with clarity, not intimidation. When a dog expects leadership, they're not asking for power dynamics. They're asking for someone who can navigate the world with confidence and kindness, someone who doesn't react impulsively but responds thoughtfully, someone who sets boundaries without fear. Dogs don't want to be in charge. They want to trust that you are. So, what does all this mean? It means dogs aren't just pets. They're emotional beings with expectations, boundaries, and silent hopes. They don't ask for much, but what they do ask for matters deeply. They want consistency, respect, and presence. They want to be understood, not just managed. And they want to feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. When we follow their unspoken rules, something beautiful happens. The relationship deepens, the trust grows, and the dog who once flinched starts to lean in, starts to play, starts to believe. This isn't just about being a good dog owner. It's about being a good partner in a relationship built on silence, scent, and soul. Dogs don't speak, but they do expect. And when we learn to listen, not with our ears, but with our empathy, we finally start to hear them. If this video made you see your dog a little differently, more like a partner than a pet, then don't let the conversation end here. Share this with someone who loves their dog but might be missing the quiet signals. Leave a comment about the unspoken rule your dog taught you. And if you've ever felt like your dog was trying to tell you something you couldn't quite understand, this is your space to explore that.